Good evening, everybody. How are we doing tonight? Okay, great. I get up here a lot, and that's usually the response I get from folks when I'm on the stage. I'm Tiffany Evans. I'm the director of the Ottawa Memorial Auditorium, and on behalf of the OMA and the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce, we're so glad for you to be here this evening as we start having some community discussions about World Cup 2026. You've probably seen it on the news, heard it on the radio, that there could be some impact to our community next summer during the 6 weeks of play. And so we really want to start those community discussions now to make sure that our community is prepared on what we can expect. So tonight we've put together several speakers to talk about well, first, we're going to talk about soccer, number one. But we're going to talk about culture and what we can expect as folks from other countries come into our community and what they are expecting out of us with those cultural differences. We'll talk to the Kansas Small Business Development Center, and we'll also hear from Kansas Commerce with some updates as well. This presentation this evening is also being recorded and will be shared online for folks that weren't able to attend. So again, thank you for being here. We will have an opportunity for questions at the end of the evening. So if you have those, maybe take a note in your phone and we'll ask those towards the end. So to kick us off, we're going to talk soccer. And Roland Jaworski, who's the high school soccer coach at Ottawa High School, is here to get us started.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. It's a lovely crowd out there. Yes, I am Roland Jaworski. I'm currently the head soccer coach for the boys Ottawa soccer team here in Ottawa. I've played soccer my entire life in this town, actually. And, you know, between my wife and I, we've watched more games and attended more games than most people will in their lifetime. So I've seen a lot of change when it comes to soccer in this town. I've seen it come from just being a very hard program to find places to play to being a much more popular sport as I've grown up. The interest in the Midwest is growing quite quickly throughout. A little bit of the history on me. So I started playing soccer here, obviously, when I was 4. My father played soccer for Ottawa University back in the late 60s, early 70s, back when that was a new program. And then he coached as well in the mid-80s. And so we kind of grew up with soccer ingrained in us. And then I was one of the first players for the high school program here under Glenn Cahill as well. So I have seen the program grow in this town as far as participation, and it's really been something I'm grateful to watch. So the World Cup, there's a lot of great things about the World Cup coming to the U.S. again. Kansas City is going to be a real important space for the World Cup. We're a very centralized location. They're expected to have 3 big teams here. And the World Cup, it's going to be a really good opportunity for everybody in our community to benefit from it. All along the main street with our wonderful restaurants and the theater and all the opportunities here. We used to have an exchange student from Norway, and I really kind of learned about how special this town was when their family came to visit, and they just were really amazed by all the small restaurants and real nice restaurants and the lovely main street, the trails. They really enjoyed the trails. So our town really has a lot of potential to give to people coming to enjoy the World Cup. It really is a good opportunity for our community as a whole. For those of you that don't know about the World Cup, you know, best way I could describe it is it's like March Madness, but it's only once every 4 years, and it has the national pride of the Olympics. So instead of college teams, you do have 48 national teams. So we could have, you know, we'll have 3 of those 48 teams being hosted in the greater Kansas City area. Along with some of those 48 teams will be playing at Arrowhead for some of their different games, and I'm sure they'll go over what those games are. But it's the World Cup's been a real important sporting event since the 30s. The first time it was hosted in Uruguay. They estimate over 5 billion viewers watch it worldwide. The Super Bowl has about 100 million. The World Cup final had an estimated 1 billion watched the World Cup final this last time between Argentina and France. So just the idea of the global reach that this sporting event has. They do estimate that the World Cup is going to generate between $5 and $6 billion of economic activity for the host nations. We do have, obviously, 3 host nations for one of the first times ever between us, Canada, and Mexico. So the $5 to $6 billion would be, between those 3 countries. But being as Kansas, we are a very centralized space, so it does give us a unique opportunity to see what I believe will be some of the bigger countries will stay here. And by the bigger countries, I mean like the more competitive ones would be Brazil, Germany, France, England. So we'll get an opportunity to really have some top-level athletes, and their fan base, I believe, will be around here. So it's just going to be a really good opportunity for us. So if you have any other questions on the World Cup, I do have some facts on who's won and some different facts on the trophies. So feel free to ask away later. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to Roland. Great. Feel that soccer excitement. All right, our first topic tonight is business readiness and what opportunities we as a community and business owners can expect with the World Cup. To discuss this topic, we have Chris Miller with the KU Small Business Development Center. Chris is a communication strategist and business advisor. He helps local entrepreneurs grow throughout strategy and meaningful human connection. He is the founder of Capture Connection Studios and host of the Talk to People podcast, a show that's featured on Apple Podcasts that explores why life is better when you talk to people. Chris lives in Lawrence with his wife, Annie, their brand new newborn, and a 5-year-old golden retriever named Sunny, and Chris is joining us via the Teams this evening. So, Chris, it is all you.
Okay, Tiffany, first off, thank you. And I'm so happy to be a part of the Community Kickoff. I'm so excited for the World Cup. Shout out to Coach Roland over there. I played soccer as well, not nearly as good as they did, but I really enjoy the game. So first off, technicality-wise, are you all able to hear me right now?
Yes.
Cool. And then, are you able to see my slides or my screen?
We are.
And then, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, we're doing great. Okay, so my position and for those of you who don't know what the KU Small Business Development Center is, it is a free resource that's provided by partially the Small Business Administration, partially the Kansas Department of Commerce, partially city and county funding. And it's a way for people who want to start their own business or people who run a business to be able to get free advising. It's confidential. We don't tell anybody. We don't tell any of your competitors. We don't tell your boss if you're currently working somewhere that you want to start a job, but we do advise. Every single year, we see over 500 businesses from all different types of industries. Lately, we've been talking a lot about the World Cup. And I have some slides / a document that we're going to walk through here. The goal here is for me to breeze through the slides and document and then be able to answer any questions if y'all have any industry specific questions. But if not, be able to share the SBDC information, because this is a resource for you that's all the way up to the World Cup and then all the way after the World Cup. It's just someone to talk to your business about. The Kauffman Foundation in Kansas City, they did a big research study, and they said that the number one common denominator for entrepreneurs that are successful is they have someone to talk to their business about. It could be someone who is, like they come home to their wife or their husband and they talk about the business, or a friend over the phone. but just somebody. And it's always nice to get someone who's out of the house and who does it for a living. So I'm always here for you. But my goal is not like, yeah, World Cup, I want to get you ready, but I also want you to be able to invest energy and effort into your business. That's going to improve your business after the World Cup. World Cup is such a large event, and we see these stadiums and all these people come and go. We want to make sure we capitalize that, but we also want to make sure there's a legacy behind there and you're able to ramp up when everybody leaves. So Coach talked about this a little bit, but there's going to be a lot of people around, a lot of people exploring nearby towns, more eyes on Kansas businesses, which is going to mean more customers, both local and international. So of any time, now's the time to prepare. And I'm going to do three main areas. The first one's going to be about business systems. The second's going to be about refreshing and updating your brand and customer experience. And the third one's activating. So we're going to talk tools. But we always talk about business systems. I would do a little bit of call and response, like question asking, but I know that it's probably easiest just for me to breeze through this. And if you all have questions, we could potentially do them after. That being said, feel free to write stuff down. But the three M's, you may have heard this if you visited the KUS BDC before. The three M's are what we like to look at with our lens of business systems. And what we mean by the three M's are right here. So the first one's management, marketing, and then money. Management is how you operate your business on a day-to-day basis. It's making sure you have the right people in the right spots. If you're a solopreneur, this is all about you. It's making sure you have the proper training, you have the proper headspace, and you know what you're doing to run your business. If you have a whole bunch of people, or if you have a few people, it's making sure you're supporting them, making sure they're in a position where they thrive best and they impact the organization most efficiently. Marketing, if you have this product and service, how do you provide awareness and exposure to make sure people are willing to pay the price that you need to get the product you have? That's like we all know marketing is a fun science. And then money, how to make sure we're keeping track of the money coming in and going out. This is analysis of revenue, analysis of expenses, operating costs, fixed expenses, you name it. So I'm going to walk through each of those pretty quickly. There's going to be maybe one or two things that stick out to you. All of this, I bet some of this, or I bet the majority of this you've already done already, but it's always great to have a refresher. But if you haven't done it, I'd love for you to write it down and implement it. So let's talk about management first. A big thing everybody's talking about is currency, processing payments, what it looks like whenever you have someone who wants to buy something. And here's examples of what management could look like. It could look like the point of sale system, like a Square, a Clover, a Shopify. It could look like a scheduling system. I went to the barber today. You probably can't tell, but I always do this legacy spa barber. Like that's what they use whenever I'm getting my hair appointment. And it's all right there. It's super easy. My barber has my information if he needs to reach out to me or if I need to reach out to him. And then it's his schedule. They know how all the clients they're getting. A scheduling system. It's simple, but it's always a good thing to implement in your business. And then a workflow system. This is a really big business, is these workflow systems. It's a big business because it works. If you can find one where you can bring everything together, all of the documents, all of the applications, any forms you have clients fill out, bring it all together in one place, kind of like a Google Drive, but more interactive and more front facing, then it can really help. We have a why it matters on all of our systems pages. It's going to be a recap of most of it, but being able to track your sales, manage inventory, and keep your team and customers on the same page. Why this matters is we want you to go on business autopilot. We want you to develop the system to where even if there's an influx of people, you're able to handle it because it's not relying on how much you give in because you've already set up the system. So it's not like you're going to have to work double. Nope, you're just going to have to rely on the system you've built. If you don't have management tools to begin with, here's a few ways to do it. One is to choose tools, look for the systems, test for ease of use. But here's the big questions we're going to ask ourselves. What slows me down each week? What can I automate or simplify? And what could make life easier for my customers or staff? Once you answer some of those questions, we're going to have a more general idea of softwares we're looking at. There's a couple websites. There's one that's called Capterra. There's another website that's called G2. What these do is they're big aggregates of all these softwares, and they compare them for you. So if you're a business and you'd like a scheduling software, you could put scheduling in there. You could put a free trial. You could put, I want something that I can also have on my mobile phone and on the computer. And it's automatically going to give you a whole bunch of softwares and put them against each other. If you want a bookkeeping software, we'll talk about bookkeeping in the money area, it's going to help you to determine and compare and contrast. So those are helpful, G2 and Capterra. If you already have them, then we're just going to make sure that they work better for you and they work harder for you. It's not the same as having an extra employee, because it's not like they're going to ask you how your day has been, but they are going to help you regarding labor impact and being able to generate revenue, because it's going to make things easier. So are you using all of the features available for the things you're already paying for? Could your data give you any better insights? Are you and your staff trained to use the systems that you have effectively? These are guiding questions that we're asking ourselves whenever we're prepping business readiness, right? So whenever we're prepping for a big event or a big influx, guiding questions. Now let's talk about marketing. Marketing, advertising, business development, this is what makes the system grow. Common examples of marketing systems could be your CRM. HubSpot, Zoho, Honeybook are some, those are very general, but they can go all the way down to industry specific, right? We work with all different types of industries. So from ZenMaid for people cleaning homes, or from Jobber, from people like a handyman, or what's one I see often with tech. I have a podcast production company, so I would often use Honeybook because it would generate specific things for the studio. And in one moment, I was able to get people an estimate. I was able to get people exactly what I was doing. They were able to agree to a contract and they're able to pay. So being able to set something like that is really helpful. But email, MailChimp, Constant Contact, and social media tools. These matter because they attract new customers. You get to stay connected with your loyal ones and understand what's engaging with your business. If we're talking World Cup, one of the big things about World Cup is you are presenting your business in a way to where FIFA's not going to sue you. They're not going to come after you and be like, hey, you didn't buy our licensing agreement. What are you doing using World Cup? But you're being smart about marketing to where you're tailoring it to people who are there for the World Cup, right? So there's a lot of clever ways to do this. I'm sure Kansas Department of Commerce can also refer to some of this, but I've heard some really interesting things about how businesses are marketing their business for the World Cup traffic. If you don't have marketing tools yet, you don't need a big budget, but just start somewhere. So here's a few different places to start. Centralizing customer contact info, even a spreadsheet. This is step one. We want to know who you're working with. Then picking a channel to focus on. I just want you to start with one, and then automating simple messages like welcome emails or thank yous. So it's going to be a little assessment of like, where do your customers find you and how will you be able to keep in touch with them after their first visit? If you already have marketing tools, let's look at market segmentation. Let's look at scheduling regular touch points. This doesn't mean that they're buying something or they're getting a service from you. All you're doing is just checking in. And once we get down to the nitty and gritty, we'll be able to track open rates, engagements, conversions. This is whenever you're able to answer the question, like, what actually works? Are my emails even being opened? Okay, I got one more system for you, and then we'll move on to something, and then I'll pass it on to the next soccer superstar. All right. So money, making sure you are getting revenue and not being hemorrhaged by expenses. What are some great money systems that could benefit you once you get them going and get in business autopilot? Well, we have the accounting ones, QuickBooks. It's like Kleenex, right? Anytime someone thinks of accounting, they think of QuickBooks. QuickBooks can be a great fit for some companies. Wave could be a great fit for some companies. Xero can be a great fit for some companies. There's a lot of them. Same thing with processing payments. We talked about that a little bit up front. With forecasting, so what's the cash flow look like? When are you going to get that money from that one job? When's that money going to come out of your account for that bill you have to pay? figuring out what recurring and one-time revenue looks like and how it's going to operate with your costs and your expenses. This is what we always tell people. Planning and knowing the logic of your numbers is one of the most important things. So strong financial systems help you plan, not just react. If you can understand the logic of your business and what those numbers mean, you're going to be able to feel a lot more confident and secure with your business decisions. And then if you want to work with a banker, or if you want to get capital from someone else, you're going to be a lot more persuasive and successful in acquiring that capital because you're able to tell them like, hey, here's how it works. And they're actually going to believe you. If you don't have money systems yet, I've worked with a lot of people and they come in and they're like, I ask them about the revenue or the expenses, and they kind of sit there and they ballpark in their head, or they pull out a piece of paper from their pocket and they have scribbled something down. You got to start somewhere. We all have to start somewhere. And one of the best places to start nowadays is to get a free digital accounting app. I've mentioned Wave before. Wave has a free trial. It's something that could hook up to your phone. It's something that could hook up to your computer. And all of the money you spend can be tracked in one place. That's a great place to start. If you are doing a lot of transactions, having a POS system connected to your accounting system is a really good step as well, because then you don't have to worry about putting in transactions. It automatically does it for you. It'll detect the location, which also helps you detecting sales tax that you have to pay. And then being able to do monthly financial review. The more you can check in with numbers, the better friends you're going to be with them. It takes time to get to know people, right? Just like it takes time to get to know your numbers. So make sure you're hanging out with them. Ask yourself these questions. What financial info do I wish I had faster? Can I hand my books to a lender or partner tomorrow? Like if you did have to acquire capital, could I be able to explain the logic to them? And now if you're already doing some of this, then here's how you could go even further. Run some profit loss cash flow reports monthly. This could take 30 minutes in a month. Maybe you could say the first Monday of the month, I'm going to run a report and I'm just going to look at that, make sure it all checks out. And then I'll do it again next month. Then I'll do it again next month. Automate invoicing and recurring payments. This is going to be helpful for you and your energy, but also your organization. And then using dashboards for quick insights. Some of the guiding questions. Are we tracking which services are most profitable? Are there things that you need to cut back on? Are there things that you need to lean more into? And can you spot trends or busy seasons using these reports? So we have the systems. So money, management, market, those are systems. You could spend time there, put those in place. It's going to help you greatly reduce your effort and stress running your business because it allows you to automate some of it, and not in like a scary way you're giving up all of your freedom automation, but it's in more of a all of the work that you need to be doing, there's more efficient ways for you to do it. So we encourage those strong systems. Now, I'm going to pivot a little bit and we're going to do a couple like speed round things that you could be looking at. One's going to be what to do with your branding and your visibility, because we're going to have people coming into town. How do we make sure they find your area of business? How do we make sure that yours the one that pops up? Here's questions. Does your website or signage clearly say what I do? Does my online presence match my in-person experience? And is my message simple, clear, and up to date? Communicate clearly, consistently, and confidently. One of the biggest ways I see this happen nowadays is you could create a Google My Business account, and that Google My Business account automatically connects with Google Maps. That way, if someone looks up pizza, your pizza shop can pop up. And that's where you can collect reviews. And that's where you can put up pictures of your brick stone oven or your mozzarella sticks or the comfy chairs with the arcade games. That's where you can really demonstrate and portray what you bring to the community so that other people will show up. So Google My Business, making sure your signage looks good, your website looks good. This is what we call an audit. We go through a company and we just look at all of their public-facing material to make sure it all checks out. A big part of this as well is strategic storytelling. We want people, whenever they look at our company or our organization, to be able to follow some type of narrative. There's some type of problem you're helping with, and you do it in some type of unique way because you're a guide, and that unique way is a certain solution. It's your product or your service. We want that clear whenever someone comes. I mean, if it's pizza, to go back to that instance, what's the problem? You're hungry, right? People, whenever they travel, regardless of where they're from, they're going to be hungry. They're going to need to eat. And maybe they don't think about Kansas for pizza, but maybe they should. I don't know who's in the audience. Maybe we got some big pizzerias. If so, I definitely need to pop over. But you're solving the problem of them being hungry, and you're doing it in a really unique way because you have this deep dish pan pizza. And the chef is someone that you really need to know. He's the guy. It's a story, it's a narrative. We love stories, and business is not exclusive to that, right? We love them anywhere and everywhere. That's why Hallmark's still around. They do the same story over and over again, yet we love narrative so much. Now, how do you feel talking about your business? Because it's not just going to be people looking online, you're also going to be face to face, doing that scary face to face conversation thing. So when someone asks, what do you do? I want you to have a very clear answer. This is like the elevator pitch. We want to know the service you provide. We want to know why you do it, and maybe something unique. So here we have, you help people save time and stress by managing their cleaning so they can focus on what matters most. Okay, that's nice. We could even amp that up more, right? Who is people? Being more specific would be helpful here. And then what exactly is cleaning, right? Are you doing deep cleaning? Are you going to be cleaning my toilets, or are you just going to be sweeping up? Talking about yourself, people buy from people. I think I have a few more of like these one-off things, and then we're going to bring it together. But the reason why I have a whole bunch of this stuff is whenever I do presentations, a lot of you are on different points of progress. Some of you are just thinking about getting going. Some of you have successful businesses and you just feel like you need a tweak. So whatever fits you, be sure to put it on and wear it, write it down. And it may be this, it may be talking about yourself, because people want to know who you are. I have a lot of entrepreneurs come in our office, incredible, brilliant people, but all they present is that they fix cars. It's like, well, who are you? Why do you fix cars? Why do you provide mental health therapy? Why do you cook a certain thing that no one else cooks in town? Why'd you start your business? What do you care most about within your business? How do your values shape your service? It's important because authenticity builds connection and trust. If we have a couple different options, we're more likely to go with the option that we're most friendly with and most comfortable with. And that's a good thing for you to know, right? I want you to be comfortable with how much you disclose. And there is wisdom in this. You don't want to just go out there and be like, oh yeah, there's this, there's that, there's this, there's that. You want to be strategic. This is strategic storytelling and disclosure. But it's important for you to be able to talk about yourself. It's also important for you to be able to talk about the service or product you provide. We want to make sure everything counts here. So we're talking about service descriptions online. One of the biggest parts of a business plan is making sure you have a good service description. You're not just detailing a car. You're doing a deep detailing with professional product and handmade, handmade air fresheners that you're leaving behind to provide a world-class elite experience, right? We're focusing on the benefits. I own a podcast production company. If I were to tell you, I'll produce you a podcast for $7,000, you'd be like, no, thanks. I can do that myself on my phone. But if I were to tell you, hey, I'm going to help you produce a show that's going to be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, that's going to promote your brand and help you connect to those that matter most with video and audio, digital assets and thumbnails and YouTube presence. It's like, okay, 7,000 is making a little more sense, right? So focusing on the benefits of what you offer. This is another thing, Google Business, our website, also social media. This is that audit. And then getting away from digital, looking at the physical. Your space tells your story too. So walk in your door one day or get someone off the street and say, hey, I'll give you a free slice of pizza if you do this for me. I want you to walk through my location and tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel when you walk through the front door. Tell me how you feel when you look around. Do you feel welcome? Do you feel like you'd want to sit down? Do you feel like this is a place that we've put thought into? It's simple. It's like, is it clean? Is the signage clear? Do you know what it is? Does your decor match? Is the lighting and music appropriate? All of this is important. It's overwhelming for me. I'm terrible at interior design. Everything in my home, not everything, but a lot of it has been popped out of nowhere. And thankfully, my wife was there. So it's like, okay, hey, thanks for doing that. But I'm bad at this. So I need help doing it. So being able to work with people just to make sure your physical space matches what you're putting forth. Small updates can make a big difference. And it refreshes ideas, right? If you refresh your displays or you add fresh paint or lighting, it creates things that are memorable and it makes your customers want to stay. All right, here we go. This is the big part, is we want you to do all of this so that you can activate your foundations. During the World Cup, it's going to be really important for you to have all of these because you're going to be able to stay visible and engaged. You can build excitement through communication. You can capture attention and keep it after the event. But after the World Cup, we're going to be thinking about that too, right? We're going to be thinking about the before, during, but we're going to think about the after, the thank you for visiting, the make sure to stick around. Maybe there are people who are going across the country. Maybe there are people going across the world. They won't ever be in this neck of the woods again. But you could still say, hey, like a digital postcard, it was great seeing you. And then whenever they're there, they're going to be talking about your business in Ottawa, Kansas, or wherever you're at. Social media, we've talked about a lot. Lastly, let's just end with your website, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the Kansas Small Business Development Center, if we could be of any help for you. It's like a sales plug, but the product and service is free. So it's not like I'm having a hard time selling this. We have a lot of clients, but we want more. We want to be able to help more businesses. Keep me busy. I love talking to people. But your website, make sure your website has a warm welcome and add a few things, right? This says welcome World Cup fans. Be careful about that. Be smart. Some welcome soccer fans, right? Welcome fans that love tournaments that show up every 4 years that happen to be bigger than the Super Bowl and have international attraction and feature players like Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, right? Update your hours on your website and have a link for visitors to sign up. Okay, I've made it to the end, and now I will conclude my part. I wish I were there in person, but I was giving a baby a bottle. He's super sweet, but for some reason he doesn't really understand the like, hey, we're going to go give a presentation. So I get to sit here and give it to you, which I'm grateful for. But I would love to meet you all in person. And a great way to do that is if you Google the KU Small Business Development Center and you'd like to become a client, it's free of charge. There's a button when you Google it, it's the first result, where you can talk about your business, talk about who you are, and we'll reach out to you. We'll make sure we get you in our office or meet with you virtually to be able to provide with you resources and support so that you don't have to walk through this business thing alone. You don't have to be an entrepreneur who's wishing that they had more support, because we can connect you with resources outside of us as well. You're going to be hearing with Kansas Department of Commerce. They're incredible. They always have something they're working on, and we're always like trying to figure it out to be able to relate to our clients. But now you get to hear straight from the source. So that's my piece. Thank you, all of you, for listening. I know digital isn't the most fun, but I'm happy to be here. So I'll hand it back to you, Tiffany. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for Chris. Does anybody have any questions for Chris since he can hear us? All right, and we will make sure that your contact information is available at the chamber as well if you want to reach out to Chris. But I think the moral of the story here is this is a fantastic opportunity to audit your business, see what you're doing, what you can improve, if not only for our potential guests that will be here next summer, but for the potential customers in our community that aren't aware of you as well. So again, Chris, thank you so much. All right, let's bring out our next guests. We have Marco and Toby, who are both students from Ottawa University, who are coming out on stage. Ottawa University has an incredible population of foreign students, and Marco, I got to have here at the auditorium last year to present on his home country. So we get to experience some of those cultural differences in our community on maybe a smaller level. But tonight we want to pick your brains just a little bit to understand your experiences here and how we can better prepare. So would you both please introduce yourselves and where you are from?
Hello, everyone. My name is Marco. I'm half Serbian, half Portuguese. Thank you all for coming, by the way. And I'm a OU student in my senior year. I'm an applied psychology major, and I was part of the men's soccer team. I injured my shoulder this year, so I'm out. But yeah, we've been watching them in the back. They're playing the conference final right now.
Yes, so my name's Toby. Again, I'm from the UK, so slightly different. More specifically, I'm from Brighton in England. So I just recently graduated actually from OU. I just recently got a job in the admissions office. So yeah, two different parts of Europe and things like that. Who will both be able to answer any questions or anything and give you guys a bit more insight into our culture and things like that.
Awesome. Well, I have some questions to ask these gentlemen this evening, but if you have a question, feel free to come on up and we can do those ask those as well. When you are traveling internationally, what kind of experiences are you seeking?
I think it completely depends on sort of where you're going, but I think around here, I think particularly the trails and the cultural, like the food and things like that, I think they'll be definitely very popular and very common for a lot of people coming from all over the world. I think that's what makes, especially Ottawa, very unique and makes it really stand out. However, and then obviously you have the Kansas City, which has everything else, you know, shopping, sightseeing, everything like that. But I think in terms of Ottawa, the trails and the food and the cultural events and things will definitely be standouts.
I agree. I think the advantage Ottawa has its authenticity. I think if you guys rely on your history, and we often get reminded at the school about our native backgrounds and stuff like that. I know that people where I'm from often come to the US to experience the US. So I wouldn't recommend adjusting your restaurants or shops to accommodate us too much, because we do want to see what you guys look like in everyday routine and stuff like that.
Perfect. Let's talk transportation. I feel like that is probably a huge barrier for international travelers. What transportation preferences do you have?
I think for both of us, we were supposed to have a student from the Middle East, but I know that in Europe, I don't know how it is over there, but in Europe we rely heavily on public transport. I know that here is not very prevalent, but I just hope that people that come to the US understand that and can prepare beforehand, because I don't know what you guys can do to help them with that. But I know for a fact that Europeans will definitely hope to somehow do public transportation, but I think we are a bit smarter than that, and hopefully people have rentals prepared.
Yeah, I'd probably say the exact same. I'd also just say we're a lot more acceptance of having a little walk every now and again. I found from my time, if there's 30-second walk, I'm going to walk, and I've got a girlfriend who's from Topeka, and she'll want to drive. It's completely different ends of the spectrum. But yeah, I mean, we do rely, and you can always tell when there's an international student because you'll probably see them on a bike or something like that. But yeah, I think they will accommodate to that pretty well. They'll either rent a car or find something else, either rent a bike for the week. I know I had parents who came and they rented bikes, and they rode bikes all around town. So I feel like they'll be able to accommodate, but that was definitely one thing that they'll get used to. And again, it will come with the culture. They'll like it.
Talk about your interactions with the locals. Initially, what were those like? What were you expecting when you came to Ottawa, Kansas? And talk about those differences a little bit.
So I'll say for myself and let Marco say what he wants to say after. But I feel like people here in Kansas, and particularly in Ottawa, are some of the nicest, friendliest people I've ever met. And I know my parents will say the exact same. So if I had one bit of advice, it'd just be stay the same. To be honest, you guys are also so friendly and so lovely and so accommodating to all of us, and you're so interested in our stories and where we're from and things like that. So if I was, I'd probably say keep being just as friendly as ever. That's definitely one thing I always say about Americans, is, especially in here in Kansas and the Midwest and things like that. Just the friendliest people, I'd probably say.
I agree. Something that I liked a lot about Kansas in particular is the genuine curiosity you guys have every time I go into a shop. Somehow they recognize I'm not from the US, maybe it's the accent. And they always make sure they ask me a lot of questions. And I think that's going to be a big part of the World Cup coming in. The World Cup's going to go on for a month or so. So you guys are going to have a lot of time to listen to the stories and then learn and prepare for the next people that come. And if they're from the same country, maybe you can say, oh, we met these people from the same country. And yeah, I think the interactions will be just fine. Some cultures a bit more touchy and stuff like that, but I'm sure you guys will be fine.
I have a question. Does America, Kansas, do we shut down early for you guys? Do you feel like we're closing down? Like dinner's like 5 o'clock. Is that early for you?
That's a very good point. Yes. Yes to everything. I know he can speak more on it in terms of, and soccer in general is a culture that we like a bit of a drink, you know, and I know businesses here, by law, I guess, shut down that type of stuff a bit early, and dinner at 5 is a bit crazy to us. My family has dinner at 9, but yeah, that's a very good point, actually. So yeah, I would see how I can balance that when the World Cup starts, if I'm a businessman.
Yeah, I would definitely say you guys eat dinner very early. I was always an 8 p.m. Dinner in my household. But yeah, as Marco touched on briefly, I think the biggest thing for me, especially from the UK, is the drinking culture, and especially around a World Cup. I know from the UK, Marco can say from a different perspective, people from the UK are very passionate. I use that word very lightly. Passionate. They're not crazy. They're just very passionate when it comes to soccer and a World Cup. And drink is always involved. And I think obviously just being accepting, like sort of, you know, accepting of their culture and things like that. They're not going to go crazy or anything like that, but you know, they are going to want to have a drink, and they are going to want to you know, stay out a little bit later and things like that. But they're the only things I'd say, especially from the UK. And also, we're very sarcastic. I'll let you know that now. We're not horrible people. We're just very sarcastic.
Speaking of that sarcasm, let's talk about language barriers with our visitors. How can hosts make those interactions easier?
So I obviously let Marco talk a little bit more, coming from a different country who, know their first language is different to mine. I think from the UK, I think you can just ask, you know, you can just say, you know, as you can say, just don't say to anyone you've got nice pants, because that means something slightly different in the UK. But I think, no, you'll be absolutely fine. A lot of people from the UK are very understanding and things like that, and you have a good laugh and a joke about it, but I'll let Marco speak from his point of view.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. Just don't speak very fast, and don't think that people know the slang. I didn't know the slang when I came here, especially not student and college slang. I still don't know it very well. But I don't think you guys will have a problem with that. I personally understand a lot better Americans than I do Toby. It took me a lot longer to understand the people from the UK than it did you guys. And I think you guys are very expressive when you speak. I think you guys are clear, you don't speak very fast, and you're very friendly when you speak. So we internationals never have any apprehension with asking questions, and we always feel very welcome, at least the friends from Serbia that I spoke with, and Europeans in general.
Can you explain 6'7"? Okay.
Yes.
You're too old for that now.
I've deleted all my social media because of stuff like that, yes. So.
Are there small touches that make a community or business feel welcoming?
I mean, as I said, I feel like you guys are some of the most lovely, friendly people I've come across in my time of traveling and things like that. So I would probably just say again, stick to what you do best. I think you're always very welcoming, and things like that. And I know that everyone's going to get recommendations of where to go and things like that. And I know that you guys are going to welcome them and things like that. So I think, again, just stick to what you do. And as Marco mentioned earlier, they want to come and experience the true culture of America, and especially Kansas and things like that. So I'd probably keep it how it is. Yeah, probably what I'd say.
How do cultural differences affect expectations for food, shopping, public behavior?
So this again is a very subjective question. We Europeans have very different values and principles and scripts of behavior than people from Asia and from Africa and other parts of the world. For example, Eastern Europeans, we are very straightforward people, and sometimes it can be interpreted as we are not very nice, but that's not at all what it is. So I think, and obviously the US is a country of all countries. So even everyone here probably met 1 million internationals in your time, which is not very true for where I'm from. We are a very closed country. We only have Serbians there, basically. So I think that you guys will be a lot more prepared for the people that are gonna come than the people are coming will be prepared for you. So I think you guys should take confidence in that and just be yourselves, honestly. You guys are good. Or you rock, that's why we're here.
I think that's about all that's said. I think, again, just be yourselves, really. I think it's brilliant what you guys do. And obviously from the UK point of view, I already spoke about the culture a little bit, but we're not too dissimilar. As much as you guys might not like it, but we are not too dissimilar from the UK.
What's your favorite American meal? No. It is a good one. You can think about it.
I may need a second to think about it. I do like the barbecue here. I do the barbecue food here. Brilliant.
Are there any common mistakes or misunderstandings that hosts should avoid?
Nothing that I can really think of off the top of my head. I think, again, from the UK, from my perspective, there's no mistakes I've had or anything like that. Again, I think from like a restaurant point of view, the only thing I'd say is obviously the tipping culture in the UK is not a thing. So I think it's just sort of been a bit more understanding about that. And I know that they should be, from their point of view, they should recognize it and they should be more acceptance to it. But a lot of people from the UK are not the smartest or not the sharpest tool in the box. So again, it works both ways. But yeah, I'd probably say that might be a bit of a misunderstanding that from my point of view.
I agree. The tipping culture is very different because people who work in restaurants back home, they have a lot bigger fixed salaries. So they do not rely on tips as much as people here do. So if people do tip a bit less, do not take it personally. Don't think that they were not satisfied with the service. That's how they grew up and that's what they think should be done. Now, I don't know what can be done to make them aware that they should tip more and how you guys approach that situation without being too pushy, but I'm sure you guys will find ways.
All right, my final question. What types of community events or experiences have made you feel immersed in our local culture?
Just like we are very passionate about soccer, I love how passionate you guys are about the things you love. I think the culture around football here is a great thing, and I know for a fact that many of the Europeans and basically the whole world that come here, there will be a lot of jokes about, because we call soccer football as well. So we will be probably trying to explain to you how we have the better sport and stuff like that, but do not back down. Make sure you explain to them how good football here is and how much you guys love football. And I think that focusing and presenting the sports here to Europeans and the rest of the world is going to be a great thing. Because anyone who travels across an ocean and to a different continent to watch their team play sports would love to hear about your guys' sports as well.
Yeah, I'd agree. Again, I'd probably say mine would be from a sports point of view is the level of professionalism in all ages throughout the United States. I feel like in the United Kingdom, particularly, the lower you go down, you're playing in sort of, recreational parks and things like that. Whereas here, even at high school level, you have some of the nicest fields to play on for soccer, football, baseball, and things like that. And I think that's something I really loved when, coming over and watching and things like that. And I think that's one thing that I know a lot of other people would also quite like to see. And I think that's one thing they'd also appreciate if they came over from all over the world.
Do either of you have any closing thoughts for us?
I don't have any more closing thoughts. Do you have any, Marco?
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you very much for coming and listening to us.
Thank you so much. You guys are great. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on to our last presenter of the evening and get a World Cup update. Kayla Savage is the Director of Community Engagement for the Kansas Department of Commerce and is a member of the leadership team. Before coming to Commerce, Kayla spent 14 years in nonprofit management and community development. Kayla earned a BFA in Communication Public Relations from Emporia State University and a Master of Science in Community Development from Kansas State University. So Kayla, come on out.
See if the slides work. There we go. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. First of all, just want to say thanks again to Ryland for the invitation. Beautiful facility here. Glad to be joining you all in Ottawa tonight. I have been very impressed. I've attended a few of these, but just want to say how impressed I am with the program that you all have put together here. And I think you guys are approaching this the right way by talking to all the different perspectives, if you will. So there's a couple things that Coach already mentioned that I'll touch on, and I've got some information to share, and obviously I'm here for questions if anybody has questions as well. So again, I'm Director of Community Engagement at the Kansas Department of Commerce. We support economic development and community development across the state and are taking a very active role in being involved in all the things that are to come with World Cup coming to the region. And just in case you didn't know, there is just 210 days to go before the first match of the World Cup. So there is a countdown clock on KC26's website if you were curious. It keeps you honest about how many days are left, which it's incredible to think about just how few there are. So the match schedule, this has been mentioned a few times. There are 6 matches that are scheduled to be played in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium. There are 4 group stage matches, and then there is a round of 32 and a quarterfinal. Now, unlike Coach and the gentlemen who were just up here, my level of experience and exposure to soccer has been limited to rec league. With my second grader, and I have a 2-year-old coming up who I expect to be playing next year, which really it just starts as herd ball, as I learned. So I have very limited experience to soccer, but I'm learning a lot through this process, so it's been great. So typical tournament is essentially what this is. So group stage, those are the tournament matches where, the group plays and then they'll figure out where they stand to get to round of 32 and quarterfinal. Coach, did I do it okay? Okay, got a thumbs up. All right. So 4 matches in June, round of 32 hits on July 3rd, which is also a Friday, and then the quarterfinal is July 11th. Also think about next summer, or next year actually, not just next summer, is also the 250th birthday of the United States. So can expect there to be some excitement, possibly more excitement than usual around that July 3rd match potentially with July 4th, but just mentioning that here. So there, with the 6 matches, so this is specific to the Kansas City region, there's an anticipated or expected number of visitors to be 650,000 people, okay? That's both domestic and international. This is data from FIFA. They've done this a few times, so they have a pretty good handle on what the numbers should be. If you were curious about the interest in the attending the matches, FIFA is doing what they call a pre-sale draw. So you have to put your name in to even get the opportunity to purchase tickets. That pre-sale draw hit a historic 4.5 million people entering the opportunity to purchase tickets. So there's definitely an interest here. People will be coming, in case you didn't think it was real. The direct economic impact of these 6 matches anticipated to be $650 million in the region, again, from the matches alone, and direct economic impact. So think about people eating at restaurants, booking hotels, booking transportation, that sort of thing. So a couple numbers for you. 650,000 visitors expected, 650 million direct economic impact expected. I took this data from KC26, who also got it verified from FIFA and Wikipedia resources, but there are, these are the teams that have qualified to this point. So if you have questions specifically about the confederations, please see Coach, because I know nothing about this. But there's a great visual map here that, if you study geography, this is a great way to kind of track that. So not a lot from the UEFA yet. England is the only country that has qualified at this point, and OFC, New Zealand is the only team that has qualified. Canada, Mexico, and USA already qualified as the host cities, or host countries, pardon me. You may have heard the term the final draw, people talking about the final draw. What does that mean? This is scheduled for Friday, December 5th at 11 a.m. Eastern. So this is when FIFA will broadcast the group stages. So Kansas City region is Group J. You'll see there our group matches across their matrix. This is just one excerpt. If you want to see all of the host cities and their match schedules, you can go to the FIFA website and see that matrix. It's can be a little bit overwhelming, but once you kind of get your bearings, it's fairly easy to follow as well. So again, December 5th at 11 a.m. It's not going to be a magical thing like all of a sudden we'll know that day, that hour. It'll actually be anticipated the 24 to 48 hours following is when we will actually know what teams are going to be playing those first 4 matches. Again, group stage. And then the next 2 matches, of course, will be determined by that play, or by tournament play. This is a question that we've fielded a lot at Commerce from Communities, but also KC26 has fielded questions about this a lot, and so I just wanted to share this information via them. Essentially, FIFA controls, it was mentioned earlier, FIFA controls all the licensing, the intellectual property, the viewing rights as well, and so to hold a watch party with over 1,000 people, that is the first kind of threshold that you have to, and if you meet that, then that would require a viewing license. FIFA controls all of that, they price it all, and so that information is expected to be out from them by the first quarter, but as soon as it becomes available, it will be listed on their website, and KC26 has shared that they will share that out with communities as well, especially if you are interested in hosting a watch party. Say, for instance, you wanted to have a host party or a watch party here at this beautiful auditorium with this great audio and technology. That would be something that you would want to check into the licensing for that. So again, the fee structure is not yet available, but expected to come out from FIFA. Let's see here, other resources. So the KC game plan is something that KC26 has put together with regional partners, including Department of Commerce, as well as our counterparts in Missouri and partners there to essentially ready businesses. So I would highly encourage you to go to this site because at this site, there is additional resources like a business readiness survey, kind of determine where you're at. This is also where they're releasing the RFPs and RFIs. So if there are businesses that potentially could provide services to the Kansas City matches, or the matches played there, that's where all of this information is. So there's also opportunity to engage that way too. And then I put the link also for their newsletter sign up if you want to get information directly from them. So as we, there we go. Okay, hold on, sorry. So we were gifted a very large and very heavy countdown clock. The state of Kansas was gifted this actually from KC26, and it is making its way across the state. It's actually out in Dodge City right now and being greatly appreciated there. And it will make its way back across the state. We're anticipating it'll be in Topeka at the State House in January, and will make its way back across the state after that, kind of to this region or this area. So it's fun. It's about 12 foot tall, about 6 foot deep, and weighs about 450 pounds. So I should mention that we've got great partners at KDOT who have been graciously transporting it around for us. It's been at the Sporting KC facility there at Children's Mercy Park. It has also been at the Wichita Airport, and like I said, now is at Dodge City. You know, something that the gentlemen who were just up here mentioned, which is, you know, the message that I heard loud and clear, don't try to recreate your business, your community, specifically for fans or specifically for soccer fans. Really just elevate and enhance what you already have locally as a culture, as your business community, because it's been told to us over and over again that is something that international visitors and domestic visitors are going to want to experience. They're going to want to experience what is here all the other, 9 months of the year or 10 months of the year, whatever it is. And so something that Kansas Tourism within the Department of Commerce has worked really hard to do is a very close partnership with KC26 to essentially be able to mirror the data that is from travelks.com over to the app that KC26 as a host city is developing. They are developing that right now. They are working very hard on developing that as they are anticipating that final draw being a key date where when group stage matches are kind of figured out, that's when we expect a large uptick of people checking out attractions, restaurants, places to stay, what is there to do outside of the match days that we already mentioned. They might start putting together itineraries. All of that kind of stuff, attractions, restaurants, business, tourist attractions, if you will, all of that is available now on travelks.com will mirror to that app statewide. It's not just the Kansas City region. It'll be Western Kansas, Central Kansas, everywhere. So the message that I want you all to hear is make sure that your local restaurants, attractions, hotels are listed with updated information on travelks.com, because that information then will mirror and feed over into the app that KC26 is going to have available for visitors. Again, I know we've highlighted international visitors a lot, and I realize I'm staying between you guys and supper, sorry. And we do eat early here, we don't eat that late. But I just want to make sure, underline, highlight, please spread that word to your local businesses and hoteliers. Make sure that they're on there. This also exists well beyond World Cup, right? This is another resource. Travelks, travelks.com, Kansas Magazine. We work really hard to put out really high quality, information and pictures and photos and that kind of thing to drive visitors, both domestic and international. We want to make that really positive impression so that those international travelers, domestic travelers, they might come for World Cup, but they're going to stay for X. They're going to stay for whatever trail that was, mentioned earlier. So want to just highlight that again, make a big deal about that, so please share that message. The other resource that Chris touched on just slightly, I know he went real deep into some tools. We have a new resource through our Office of Small Business at the Department of Commerce. Not the same thing as small business development, but with the Office of Small Business at the Department of Commerce, there is a resource called Connect KS. And this is where you can go, whether you're a brand new entrepreneur, you've been in it several years, you need a refresh, what have you. This is a great resource to get you connected if you need capital, if you need marketing resources, that sort of thing. Please go here. Again, we want to get businesses ready for the big event, but we also want businesses to be successful well beyond as well. And so this is a great, relatively new resource that we have put out there on our website. So connects you to our team. Our international team, so we have an international development division at the Kansas Department of Commerce that works on all kinds of things, if you can imagine, from foreign direct investment to new business to business retention as it relates to businesses that have originated overseas, constantly developing those relationships. But they are working with Johnson County Community College to provide a series of webinars that are very topic focused as it relates to World Cup. But again, this information can withstand test of time as well. So just want to mention that too. As well as the Mid-America Regional Council is serving as a main point for KC26 and the region as it relates to both a community calendar and also planning efforts in response to the World Cup. So what I want to mention here is if you, specifically with the city and the city, county, make sure your events, your community events, anything that you are planning during those time frames, definitely make sure that you submit those to this MARC calendar. What that will do is it will provide MARC awareness of what you are doing and what's going on. It does not have to be just related to World Cup, though. Again, it could be a community festival. It could be a parade. It could be, you might host a bike ride with the trail, affiliated with the trail or something. This could be a great opportunity for you to promote that event, but then also MARC is going to be looking for potential cross collaborations. Not sure yet what that's going to look like from a regional perspective, but can imagine that calendar is going to fill up pretty quick. So there will be no shortage of events and things for people to go to when it's not match day. Because as we know, when it's match day, there's nothing else going on except soccer. So, Coach mentioned this earlier, the team base camps. So I mentioned the direct economic impact. This story still has yet to be told about the base camp locations that have been submitted to FIFA for consideration by countries that are going to be playing in World Cup. We have 2 facilities, world-class facilities, and I mean this when I say they are world-class facilities that have been proposed. And then there's one just right across the river in Missouri that is also world-class as well. This elevates the opportunity for potential economic impact, as Coach mentioned, the fan base. So again, hosting an actual country at one of the base camps or more than one of the base camps is another opportunity that we could see in our region. And we are very optimistic that we hope to get at least one, but there's a chance that there could be teams at all 3. And so there's also a team could be hosted at one of those base camps and never actually play at Arrowhead. So just a little tidbit in case you didn't know. So final draw December 5th. That determines the group stage matches. The team base camps will not be publicly announced until April by FIFA, which makes it kind of hard for planning if you think about it. The hope is, though, and our understanding is, though, that most teams will make their choices known in that January, February timeframe. And so there's the potential that we will know before then, before April, but FIFA will not publicly announce anything, and we would not be able to publicly say we are hosting a certain team until that time frame. But like I said, it's huge opportunity potentially for us, and hopefully we compete well. FIFA Fan Festival, this was just announced recently by KC26. This is the concept rendering. World War I Memorial is where this will be located. They anticipate it will run 18 days and 25,000 people capacity that can roll over. It's not just 25,000 for the day. It could the 25,000 number can roll over. This is a free, family-friendly event that is open to everyone. Domestic, international, local people from the region. They're going to be big on the Kansas City magic and delivering that, if you haven't heard that from KC26. So another great opportunity too. And just sharing this from KC. Again, I don't speak on behalf of KC26, but there's a lot of moving parts and pieces that the host committee has to deliver on for FIFA, and so you'll notice there's lots of little milestones here. You'll be hearing about the mobility plan that will be coming out. That'll give you an idea of where the pickups and drop-offs essentially will be with the public transportation that KC26 is going to be providing on match days only. Again, remember, nothing else happens on match days except soccer, right? So outside of that is still kind of to be determined where transportation and that will happen. That's it. Questions from anyone?
Kayla, thank you so much for being here. As a lot of information for you all tonight. Rylan, did you have any questions? You looked like you stood up. No? Okay. Anybody else have any questions? All right. I believe that we have. So I hope your mind is, I hope you have some thoughts in your mind right now. Again, this is an opportunity not to reinvent the wheel, not to create new events that we're only gearing towards potential travelers. It's really to elevate what we're doing already. And I've been able to hear from other communities some of the ideas that they're doing, and that is the message. We're elevating what we've already been doing in our community and making it better. So if you would like to continue to be a part of those community conversations, we do have a sign-in form in the lobby. We would love for you to leave your contact information. There will be some discussions coming up about events, watch parties, things of those notes. And so we really want to keep you engaged with that and have you assist with us. So please leave your information back there. Here's also a QR code with some more resources as we start moving towards, preparing for 2026. Any questions this evening before we end this? All right. Well, on behalf of the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce and the OMA, we thank you for coming out tonight. Please feel free to reach out to the Chamber with any additional questions you may have. 242-1000. It's an easy phone number to remember. They'll be happy to assist you with that. And hopefully we'll see you at some more discussions in the future. Thank you.